Previously, you learned about rotations and reflections in the coordinate plane, and this lesson will introduce you to patterns for translations in the coordinate plane. So first, we'll begin with a horizontal translation, which just means your shape is translated either to the left or to the right on the coordinate plane. And we've got the green shape is our pre-image, ABC, and then the image is going to be A prime, B prime, C prime. So if we record the coordinates for the image, we know that A prime is going to be at negative 4, 3. B prime is at negative 3, 5. And C prime is at negative 1, 2. Pause the video and see if you can determine the rule for a horizontal translation. So what you should have noticed is that, first of all, the y-coordinates are not changing at all. And so the y-coordinate is going to remain the same in our rule. What's changing is the x-coordinate. And so in this particular translation, our pre-image is moving to the left 5 units. And if you take a look at what's happening to the x-coordinates, they're all decreasing by 5. So we can write our rule as x minus 5. Now, not every horizontal translation is going to be going to the left 5 units. It could be going to the left a different amount of units, or it could even be moving to the right. And so the general rule for a horizontal translation can be written like this. X plus or minus a, comma, y. If we're translating to the right, we would be adding. If we're translating to the left, we would be subtracting. And then a is just the number of units that you're translating. Next, we'll take a look at a vertical translation, or a movement up or down on the coordinate plane. Pause the video and go ahead and see if you can complete the chart as well as figuring out what the rule is. So those are the coordinates that you should have in your chart for the image. Once again, we have, if we take a look at our rule, you'll notice this time it's the x-coordinates that aren't changing. So that would remain the same when we write our rule. And this time it's the y-coordinates that are changing. And if we take a look at what type of movement the triangle is doing in the coordinate plane, remember the green triangle is the pre-image, the yellow triangle is the image. It's moving down, and it's moving down 3 units. So what's happening to our y-coordinates is they're all going to be decreasing by 3. Again, a vertical translation isn't always going to be down 3 units. It could be going down a different number of units, or it could be going up. And so the way that we could write the general rule for translations is like this. We would say y plus or minus b. Plus if we're moving upwards, minus if we're going downwards, and then b is just the number of units that we're moving. A diagonal translation is just a combination of horizontal and vertical translations. Go ahead and complete the chart with the coordinates of the image, and then see if you can come up with the rule. So there are the coordinates of the image, and in this particular translation, our pre-image, the green triangle, is moving to the left 4 units and then down 5 units. And I'm just taking a look at one particular set of points. I'm looking at A and how it's traveling to A prime. We have to go to the left 4 and then down 5. So what's happening to our coordinates in general, since we're traveling to the left 4, we would be subtracting 4 from the x-coordinate, and then since we're moving down 5, we would be subtracting 5 from the y-coordinate. And so in general, for a diagonal translation, we're just going to combine the rules for horizontal and vertical. If we're moving horizontally, we write that as x plus or minus a. And then for the vertical movement, it would be y plus or minus b. In these two problems, we need to describe the translation using coordinate notation, and to help me do that, I'm going to pick a pre-image point. In this case, I'll just pick A, and its corresponding image point, A prime. And I'm just going to see how those 2 points relate to one another. If I'm traveling from A to A prime, I need to go over to the right a certain number of units, and it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, and then I need to go up 2. And so the coordinate notation for that, if I'm traveling to the right 5 and then up 2, would look like this. And then in number 2, we're doing the same thing. I'll grab a pre-image point, I'll use A again, and then its corresponding image point, A prime. And so let's see how A has to move in order to get to A prime. We're going to move to the left a certain number of units, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units to the left, and then down 2. So if we're going 7 to the left and then down 2, that coordinate notation would look like this. In questions 3 through 6, we're dealing with the same translation for each of those problems. It's this one right here, which tells us to go from pre-image to image, we would be traveling to the right 2 and then down 3. And so some of the questions are asking us to find an image point, while others are asking us to find a pre-image point. So if we take a look at problem number 3, we're looking for the image of the point -1, 5. So -1, 5 would be right here. And according to the coordinate notation, we have to go right 2 and then down 3, which would put us right here. So our image point would be at 1, 2. So you can certainly do that on the graph, but another way to look at it is if the coordinate notation tells you exactly what to do. It tells you to add 2 to your x-coordinate, and when we do that we get 1, and then it says to subtract 3 from the y-coordinate. When we do that we get 2. Now problem number 4 is a little bit different because it's asking for the pre-image. In other words, where would your starting point be in order to land at 2, -1 after you do the particular translation. So I'm just going to plot our point 2, -1. So what point would you have to start at in order to land at 2, -1? And so from our starting point, wherever that is, we know we've got to go to the right 2 and then down 3. And to help us figure out the starting point, we can think of these steps in reverse. If going from the pre-image to the image, we would have to add 2 to the x-coordinate and then subtract 3 from the y-coordinate. We would do the opposite of that if we're going the other way. So if we imagine from this image point, if we go to the left 2 and then up 3, that would put us at this point right here. So now if we take that pre-image point that we found and apply the coordinate notation, again it says we would go right 2 and down 3, and we land at that point 2, -1. So the pre-image of 2, -1 is 0, 2. Pause the video and try numbers 5 and 6 on your own. And there are the answers that you should have gotten. For questions 7 through 10, we need to do 2 things. First, state the image of the given point, and then write what the coordinate notation is. And so for number 7, we're starting at the point 1, -3, which would be right here. And it's translated 3 units to the right, and then 4 units up. So the coordinates of the image are 4, 1. And then the coordinate notation, if we're going 3 units to the right and 4 units up, would be xy, maps to x plus 3 y plus 4. And in problem number 8, our pre-image point is negative 2, 4, which is right there. And we're translating it 2 units to the left and then 1 unit down. So 2 units to the left and then 1 unit down would put us right here. So the image point is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 3, so negative 4, 3. And the coordinate notation for that would be xy maps to x minus 2, y minus 1. In problem 9, our pre-image point is 3, negative 2, and we're translating 3 units up, and that puts us at the point 3, 1. For the coordinate notation, you'll notice that this was just a vertical translation. So when you're just doing a vertical translation, your x-coordinate is going to remain the same. The y-coordinate is the only one that's going to change, and that would be y plus 3. In number 10, we're starting at negative 4, 3. And this point is just translating 6 units to the right. Which puts us at the point 2, 3. And so, since this one is just a horizontal translation, the only coordinate that's going to get affected is the x-coordinate. And moving to the right means we would be adding 6 to the x-coordinate. The y-coordinate remains the same.